What's up, brick builders? Today's build is the Dune Buggy. It is the alternate build to the tractor. Set number 9393. Year it came out was 2012. Age group you're looking at 9 to 16 years. Number of parts 353 parts, quite a few pieces. Price per piece 7 pence, and the cost brand new 2012 was £24.99. Value, current value right now with a mint condition box sealed. You're looking at £80, pretty good investment, and used you're looking at £22 to £30. How we doing, folks? Shaun from BRIT'N Bricks. Another Technic build. The first version of it, or the first build of it, was really cool. Enjoyed the tractor. Looking forward to seeing the Dune Buggy. Let's check it out. Got lots of parts here. Got the instructions coming up. Also, check out the video. There's a video right there. Check that out, or link to the video. Check that out for the tractor. The tractor was a really cool build, actually. Really enjoyed it. Starting off with 2 coat hangers and blue pin. So we got the blue pin, and we want the 2 coat hangers. Just spread some parts about a bit. And I see one. So we'll put the blue pin through that middle hole there, just to hold that. And then we want the other coat hanger. It's got to be here somewhere. There it is. All right. And then we got 2 black pins. 2 black pins are going to go in either side of the bottom there. So those are going to go in. Remember, you're going through 2 plates, so you might have to give the pins a bit of a wiggle. And then we got the 5-hole red Technic beam. It's going to go on the end of those plates. And then we got 2 ET heads going on in either side. So we got ET head on there, and an ET head on there. There we go. Like that. And then we've got a 6-axle going across one of them, which is this back one here, and a 3-axle going across the front of the other. So a 6-axle and a 3. Here's a 3. And we want a 6. On the back there. Put that down for a bit. And we've got 13 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Large H shape. And we're going to drop that 1 hole in. So like that. And then we got 2 holes from the other side here, and then we're dropping a pin. So I'm just going to put my thumb there in front of it so that it marks where I'm dropping the pin. And then this will join 3. No, it's going to join right after the big H shape there. So the black axle is on the rear end. Call this the front for now. And then we're going to close that off with, actually we're going to put a wrong pin there. We're going to put a pin with the collar in there. There it is. So it's 2 holes, drop. Now we're going to close it off with Another 13. That would stop that hopping out. Like so. And then we've got a 7 long black. And 2 ball joint pins. And you go hole, ball joint, and then a hole, ball joint. So hole, ball joint, hole, ball joint. And then right in the middle we got a blue pin, and it's going to go in short end first. So it sticks up like that. And then that's going to drop into the first grey hole here of the H shape. And that looks like it's going to be our steering. That's what that looks like. That looks like it's going to be our steering. Another H shape. Oh, we're doing the axles, right? Okay. Common build now for this kind of thing. So if we're using a dark grey pin with stud on one side, we didn't do that before. Long end in first, so it's not a stud, is it? It's a pin. So the pin sticks out. It's frictionless, so it should move. And then we're putting a 4-axle in with a stopper in the other side. And then this is going to turn this over, and then this is going to sit on top. It's this way. Yeah, because then the face is the ball joint, so that pin doesn't fall out too much. It's a bit of a bizarre design, but we'll go with it. And another dark grey pin. Another dark grey pin. Where are you? They were both together. There they are. As I say, they were both together. The 4-axle with a stopper. 4-axle with a stopper. There's an 8-axle. I don't want the 8-axle. There we go. 4-axle with stopper. And then that's going to go on the other side. Like so. Then we got the steering rack. There it is. Steering rack. And that's going to go across these 2 grey pins here. And you're going to have the teeth facing up. There we go. And it's a bit clumsy, this steering, I'll be honest with you. It's a bit clumsy. It's a bit shaky at the moment, but I think as soon as we lock those pins down, we should be all right. So we're putting 2 pins in the end here. So it's 1 and 2. And then we're putting a pin in here. Like that. 5-axle. 5-axle and the universal joint. So we want a 5-axle. So 5-axle here. There's only one universal joint, and may prove tricky to locate because there's only one. 5 axle, and then we're going to put a large bushing on the end of that axle. Then that's going to go in the middle hole here, and then we're putting a moon gear on the end of this to go into the steering rack. Now then, you have to kind of line everything up. Come on. There you go. And now we should have some form of steering. And we're going to put a 7 long beam across the front here to make this a little bit more of a solid steering mechanism. It's quite stiff. I'm not a big fan of this at the moment, but maybe there's a way. It's much better that way. It's much better that way. So it could still be quite impressive. So that's that one. It might still be jaw-droppingly, eye-openingly fantastic steering. You never know. One hole Technic plate with 2 axles, 4 axle. So we want a 4 axle. It's going to go into the hole at the bottom, and then we got 2 hole axle connector going off that, and then we got it's a 5 axle that's going in the end of that. We got a 5 axle here. Leave a little bit peeking out because we're going to be putting on a fire hydrant on the end of that. I'm going to find one. There we go. So that's going to go on the end like so. And then we've got a short light grey L, or small light grey L, is going to go on there. So that grey axle is going to go into the axle hole of the L shape. And then blue pin, long ways in, all the way, is going to go into that there. Then we go close that off with another one of these 2 hole axle connectors. 2 axle hole connector. There we go. And then a fire hydrant on the end, and no plate here yet. Okay, so we got that, we got 2 black pins going into here, into these grey holes here, and then turning it over, this is going to go. Oh, I see. Right, these pins are going to drop into here. These are going to line up to the edge of this like that, making a bit of a beefier front there. And then same again the other side, right? Okay, so 1 hole Technic plate with 2 axle holes on either side. That's the steering wheel. There it is. And a 4 axle. 4 axle. And then that's just going to go. I think the axle's going to go through there. Yeah, it is, yeah. Like that. Push that axle back through. Then we got 2 3 axles. 2 3 axles are going to come into here. So there's that. push those all the way through. And that's going to hold all that in place there. I think they're going to go all the way through like that. Right. 7 hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And blue pin, long ways at the very bottom. Then we got a hole, then we got a pin drop. Like so. And then we've got another pin on the other side of that. And then we've got a large L shape. Now is that black? Oh, it looks like a black L shape. I'll find one. Large black L shape there is. And then that's going to go on the end like so. Then we've got the engine construction. Wow, actually it looks like bobbly gears, but 2 H shapes. So we got one here. We got a black pin going into one side. Then we got an 8 axle. So that's an 8 axle with a large stopper, large bushing. Sorry, it's going to go on the end there, and it looks like this is going to join the other H shape, keeping that in place. That's going to go into there. Then we got a bobbly gear coming down there. Bobbly gear. Make sure you got some space so that it rotates. And then this is going to join here, I think. Like that. There's space for the bobbly gear to rotate. So, yep, I'm going to go with that. Excuse me. Dark bluish grey by the looks of things. Large L shape. And a blue pin at the top. Short weighting. And then we got light grey 2-pin axle, 2-pin with, or double pin with hole in the middle. And 3-hole Technic beam on the blue pin. Then this is going to join this on the other side here. Okay, and that looks like that's going to go like that. And that can tip. Okay. Okay. And push that through like that. That's weird. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Bit of manipulating to move. Next is Mordrum. A Mordrum head. I think there's only one in this set. And where is it? There it is. Mordrum head. A blue pin goes in right through, and then we got a red axle on top of that. And then we got a red 2 axle plate on top of that, and then we've got what looks like an axle connector with holes And the hole is going to face along with the plate. Then this is going to attach to this part here. Now then, I think that it's going to go like that. And then this is going to go, okay, close this part off here and close this part off here. This looks like it's going to be the chair, so we need another dark grey L shape. There we go. So line that up. It looks like the chair, but I wouldn't want that in the middle of my chair somehow. And then we got an L shape, black large L shape. Close that off. Wait a minute. Let's go like that. And then this is going to go into here. Like that. And these pins are going to go into this green pin. What came off? What came off? Oh, the gear. The gear came off. Put the moon gear back in place. There we go. Try this again. Actually, I don't know if I'm doing this the right way. There we go, connection. Whee! Now then, why is that spread out? Because that's not connected right at all, is it? No. That's because I thought that was going to go in the wrong place. But it just seemed to fit snugly. But it's actually joining those two together, and then we put a green plate on top of that, and that will hold that in place then. That was a bit fiddly. Yeah, there you go. There's the green bar that's going to go and hold it in place. So one pin in there, and then we got a blue pin in here, and that's going to go in short ways so it sticks out. And then we're going to put the green bar on that blue pin. Like so. Now you're starting to get somewhere, and then we want a black pin in there. And we got some symmetry like that. Bit of curly whirly time. Okay, so get your curly whirly. 3 axle in the bottom of the curly whirly. And a 4 axle in the top, but we need the 4 axle and a 1 hole connector on the end of that. And then you're going to hang that from the other Technic hole. Technic hole. I haven't called it that in ages. Axle hole. So that it's hanging down. Then we've got a black pin in the elbow of the curly whirly. and that's coming in from the other side. And then we've got a hole, and then we've got a blue pin in there as well, like so. 7-hole beam off the 2 pins in the front there, and then a curly whirly going over this time. So it's kind of like that. Put your fingers behind the axles. So you got that kind of thing. And then we've got a small green L shape, a 4-long axle, 4-long axle, 4-long axle, and large bushing. Large bushing that has a 3-axle on it, and that's going to go into the axle hole on the L. And then we're going to put it's going to be a pin, so it's going to be a hole and then pin, and then we're putting a V shape on top of the axle here, so onto the little axle hole, and then just after the elbow there'll be a pin drop, so not on the elbow this time but after, and then we've got a blue pin with axle going in the top there. Then this is going to locate there, like that. And that's how you should have it. And we got a pin going in here, I think, and then we got a Technic beam going down there. So we'll put the Technic beam on first. Is that a 5? It's a 5, isn't it? That's going to go on top, and then we'll put the pin, long blue pin, through that and then into the other bar to keep it in place. And then this is going to finally make sure I've got everything. I've got a 3 bar missing somewhere. That's going to go there. And this is going to finally join the bodywork with the green facing that way. So these 2 pins here are going to go onto these holes here, like that. And then we're going to close that off with an axle. Eight axle with a stopper, and that is going to go through, I think it's going to go through here. And out through the other side. Put your thumb behind the stopper and then put 2 large bushings on the end of that axle. 2 seems quite excessive, but it might be balancing something. Turn your model around. 3 axle with a light grey axle connector and a 2-hole axle connector, there it is. So it's going to go through the axle, and then we got another axle connector going on to the end of that. Then we got a 5-axle and a bobbly gear. And that is going to go through there. And then we've got to put a large bushing on top of that axle with bobbly gear. Keep it in place. And then this is going to attach to this axle here. And we want the bobbly gear. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, I see what I've done. Okay. No. Right, so we want an axle, red axle on the end of that. Then that's going to go in there. And then what was it I had on there? Oh yeah, there was the connector there. Like that. Now there's space for the bobbly gear. Bobbly gear! And that should go like that. These should connect. So that's going to be your hand of God steering that, basically. So it's going to be up here. Cool. And then we got some connectors. And that's going to go... Oh, it's going to go on the top of the hand of God. Right. There. So we're just going to extend that a little bit. And then we got an axle with a collar and a shorter axle on the other end. The longer axle is going to go in behind this bar here, like that. I'm guessing this is going to be the rear axle. So these are the front axles. This is the rear axle. I'm not going to close that off with anything. Not by the looks of things. So that's just demonstrating the hand of God steering. And we got a short or a small black L shape. And we got to drop a pin. And then it's going to be a space. Then it's going to be drop a pin. And then we're going to drop a T shape on top of that. And then we're going to drop a pin on the end of that T shape. Like that. And then that is going to go on the back end here. And it's going to keep that axle part in place as well. So we've got a pin to line up and an axle. There we go, got it. And now that axle won't fall through. That's just basically keeping it in place, which is really, that's quite genius actually. That is quite genius. I like that. Next part, large grey L shape. Long blue pin in the elbow of the L shape, and then we've got a large H shape on the bottom of the L shape, like that. Then we've got what looks like a black pin with a collar. Yep, black pin with collar is going to go into the middle. Blue pin with axle is going to go on the end of that. Then we've got the tanned pin with axle frictionless, so it should move. Yep. With a mini grey gear, dark bluish grey small gear. so there it goes. I was going to say, it's so small it's hiding from me, but I found it. So on top of that, and then we've got a black periscope. He's going to go onto this blue pin here, and then we're going to put a blue pin with axle on the end of that. So you should have something like that. Put that aside for now. 7 axle. 7 axle, here we go. 7 axle with a short stopper, bushing, and then another small dark bluish grey gear. So the first one was hard enough to find. There we go. That wasn't too bad. Then we're going to put 2 pin connector with hole in the middle down the end of the axle here, like that. Then we're going to cap that off with another short bushing. And then we're going to put a plate, 2 axle hole plate on top of that. Just make sure that we've got a little bit of freedom here. Just a little bit. 2 axle plate is going to go on there, and that's going to be, and then we got another 2 axle hole plate that's going to be facing up. So one's facing along and one's vertical, horizontal. There you go, easiest way. Large bushing on the end of those. Large bushing on the end, and again another 2 hole axle plate is going down, and then we got another, which is the last one, which is going across. So we want a small bushing first to separate it. So you kind of got that like a step. Then this is going to be turned around, and then it is going to fit into here. Those 2 dark grey gears are going to meet each other. Why won't this go into the hole? There we go. And that should turn those gears, which it does quite nicely. So we've got 2 5-hole grey plates are going down these pins, one on top of another. Then we got a black pin in the next hole up, and you got to wiggle because you got to move 2 plates around. Then we're going to turn it that way, and then this is going to attach to this black pin here. This hole here, like that. I don't know if that's right. Doesn't seem to be looking right. Apparently you got to flip it up, so that's probably why it doesn't look right. So kind of goes, oh, and then this axle goes into that axle hole there. Right, gotcha. And that must be the engine, like the pistons. It's a bit shocking. Okay, some more gear work. 4 axle with stopper. 4 axle with stopper. 4 axle with stopper. 2 tang gears, one with teeth facing in towards the stopper, and then one facing away. So they're kind of back to back like that. I never used it in that kind of configuration before. Actually looks like a really cool mock street lamp and stuff. That's got this really cool kind of design like that. Right, big Y shape. And then we've got a gear on the bottom here, just resting like so, and a 5-axle. 5-axle. It's going through that gear and through the hole at the bottom as soon as I can find it. There we go. And then we're going to put a yellow connector on, axle connector on the end, like that. And then this is going to attach to the this axle here is going to go straight through there like that. That's what's going to happen. And then I'm guessing we're pushing this axle all the way through. I'm going to just do that just to keep it in place. We got a large gear going on the end of that axle. And that's going to join these two small gears now, which turns the engine. So what's going to happen is the wheel's going to roll and it's going to turn these. That's what that is. So that's kind of a cool feature. And a cool design to do it. 7 long bar, and we've got 3. Okay, so these look like pistons, probably. That's what these, because that's the crank. That's the crankshaft or camshaft. 3-axle and stopper. No, 3-axle and a bushing, and that's gonna act as the piston head or the piston cylinder. So another one. So we want to do 4 of these. So we want another 3-axle, another short, one more 3-axle and short bushing. Okay, we're doing 2 of these or just 1? So we got 2-hole connector with axle, blue pin. Blue pin's going into the hole and it's going to go all the way through, and then this is going to go on the end like that, and then we've got what looks like bushings on the other sides here as well. So it's gonna do those. And that will stop them from falling off. Like that. Now they can freely go up and down now. We got a dark tan axle with stud. It's going into the axle hole of that. And then this is going to mount on top. So blue pin, give it a bit of a wiggle, bit more of a wiggle, and then just push that pin home, and you should have something like that. And there you go. There's your functioning pistons. Cool. Actually has a kind of a cool clicky sound as well for the pistons. So it's small U shape. Blue pin with axle in one side, 4 axle in the other side. I don't know if pushing them all the way through, maybe you are. And then we got a 1-hole connector with axle. Is going to hang on to that. And then that is going to pin onto that there. Rightio. Then we're putting another dark tan axle with I don't know. Okay, yep, that down. So then dark tan axle with stud is going to go through these two, meet up with a connector with a hole in the middle. Push that down a bit more, like so. And then we've got bit of framework, 4 axle with a large bushing. So it's 4 axle with large bushing, and that's going to go into a small L-shaped green. It's going to go into the top there. Then we've got a hole in, we've got a pin drop, and then we got the V shape going on the end of this axle here, like that. Bit similar to what we were doing on the other side beforehand. Yeah, it's actually the same. Actually, it is actually the same. 5-hole Technic beam, 5-hole Technic beam, 1 pin at the top, large blue pin at the bottom, long ways in, and then that is going to go in there like so. And then you get your curly whirly. I'll take this one, and that is going to go into the second hole with the blue pin, and then this one at the elbow with the black pin, and then we've got a 1-hole connector, light bluish grey, with 3 axle. It's going in there, and then that's going to go into the axle hole from that side, like that. This is a bit complicated. This is a bit technical. Blue pin with axle top here. That looks good. That looks good. Then we got a 3-hole Technic beam on the end of that. That's so, and you should have it kind of laid out like that. And then this is just going to go onto the other side. And I think that is it. Cool. And then we've got another tamping with stud on the other side, going through this hole here into this beam, into this bar or this axle connector, like so. We could pin something on the sides of this, which would be kind of cool. And then we're going to extend this axle here. This is going to be our other rear axle. So long axle with collar and small axle. Small axle in first, and then you should have kind of a balanced a symmetrical type side of where the axles are. That didn't make any sense. 7 long hole. 7 hole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 hole Technic beam with blue pin. Short end in first at the very last hole. Then we got a space, then we got a pin drop. And then we've got curly whirly. And that curly whirly is going to join just about there. That black pin's going to go into the elbow of the curly whirly. Like that. And then this is going to go on the other side. You go join the axle and 2 pins. 2 pins and axle. There we go. Perfect. All looks good so far. So 4 axle, 1 hole connector. 4 axle, 1 hole connector. And then that's going to drop in through there. Kind of wiggle it around a bit because you've got to go through a beam and then into that axle connector there. And then you've got your similar on the other side there. Turn it upside down. Two pins, they're going to go in behind the axles. So if you have the axles, the rear axle with the gears facing away from you, you're going to be putting 2 pins just behind these axles here. So 1 on this side and 1 on this side. And then we're going to put some ET heads with the axle facing down on the end of those. ET heads. Like that. Seven hole Technic beam, and we're going to do 2 pins, 2 pins, so 2 pins on either side. So 2, 2, and then 2 and 2. So we've got 2 pins on either side there. Then we're putting some small L shapes on the ends of those, like that, and do another L shape. Like that, and then we got 4 axle with stopper going in to the axle holes of those L shapes. And just have them poised there for a bit because they're going to lock in place. I'm going to find the other axle with stopper. There it is. And then this is going to I think it's going to connect like that. Yeah, then push the axles with stoppers all the way through, and that locks that in place. And then we got the front Technic gears, or Technic gears are going to go on the front. So that's kind of cool. Quite sure what that's all about. And then we got the disky type things that we use for the blades for the cutting device on the tractor. are going to go on the rear. So they kind of look like disc pads, don't they? Or disc brakes or something. And doing a similar sort of thing with the heart-shaped piece, that was the front of the tractor, and this is also going to be the front of the Dune Buggy. Connector. And so this is going to connect on the end of what? The blue pin here. That's what it's going to do. Okay, like so. Yep. Keeping the model upside down for now, we've got small black L shape. Small black L shape with a black pin on one side and a black pin on the other at the bottom. Then we got a 5-axle coming in from the other side, so we got 5-axle. And then that is going to go, looks like this axle here is going to go into the elbow of this L shape, so it's going to go like this, I think. Like that. Green L shape, small. Gonna put a blue pin in the elbow. Long ways in. So it's gonna go all the way, so you got half and half. 3-axle at the foot. So 3-axle at the end. And then we've got a long angled Technic beam, which is usually a 6x3 this. And that's going to go on the end of that axle hole, that axle there. And then we've got 3-hole Technic beam going in the end there, like that. And then we're going to close that off with another L shape. Onto the axle. Then we got black pin going into there near the axle, and then reflect that on the other side, like that. Now we got 4-axle with a pin with a collar. Pin with a collar. 4-axle with a pin with a collar. That's going to go into the axle hole of the angled Technic beam. And then that is going to be closed off with a small bushing. And then another axle, another pin with collar, like so. Was that supposed to have? It was. That's why it's not even. Right. There we go. And then this is going to locate into this Technic beam here, or this Technic, this axle here. It's just going to go into those holes there, and then that's just going to just sit there. Oh, I don't know. That's interesting. Okay. There you go. Close it off with another L shape. So the final L shape, I think. Yeah, it is. It looks like it's the last L shape. So we got black pin one side, and then a black pin on the other side at the axle hole. And then that's going to go... There. There we go. Bit of an interesting build, this actually. Looks like we're going to do the lights next. So is that 3 axle or is that 5? That's a 5 axle. 5 axle with, oh, I see. This drops down like that. Okay. Transclear claw feet pieces, and that is going to go through that hole there and that hole there. That's going to face up, and then you're going to just close that off with some more transclear pieces. Hold it in place like that. I think they're going to go like that because that would look cool in my opinion. And special plate with a pinhole, and it's going to be blue pin. It's going to go short end in, and that's going to go, I think that's going to go there like that. And then we've got another special plate with pinhole like that. It's interesting. And long telescopes are going to go into these axle holes here. So that's going to go in like that. And telescope. Is that supposed to... Everything's locked in place, isn't it? Yeah, so no, those don't go all the way through. Okay. This is a very interesting design. A lot of twists. So 5-hole grey plates and 2 grey pins. So I got 1, 2, and another one, and then we got large grey pin. I'm going to put the long end in first, so the short end is facing out. Then we got a V shape. The V shape is going to attach to that hole there, at that pin there, and then we got a 2-hole connector. No, 1-hole connector with blue axle and pin. That's going to sit on the end of that grey pin, and then we've got another one that is going to fit on the end of that. This is all very loosey, shaky, and stuff like that. I'm not quite sure what this is. Interesting to find out, which we will be finding out soon, I think. it's going to attach to it looks like it's going to attach to that there, and then that's going to swing around, and that should connect into there. That kind of gives, that's right, that's actually kind of cool. It's kind of solid now. It's giving that body pan, the floor pan, isn't it? Go do it again? Yeah, I'm down for that. Let's do it. Yeah. And that. And not that. That. And we want another dark grey pin. There's a long ways in. V shape. Nope. V shapes on the grey pin. Then we got the blue pin with axle. And then we got one hole connector with axle. Two of those. And then one's going to go on the end here. And one is going to go on the end here. Same again. There, swing that around, and that goes, oh, that didn't want to go in there this time. There you go, got it. Cool. Very cool. I'll say the first design, the tractor, was very well thought of. So I'm feeling the same love with this one as well. Okay, so we got two large body panels are going to go on those pins there. Definitely a set that's worth the money. $24.99 when it came out. Very, very good value, I think. One whole plate with two axles, so we want the two red axles are going to go into either side of that plate, like so, and then we're going to cap that off with the grey one. And then two short L shapes, just going on the axle hole there and the axle hole. Then we got two pins with collars. Don't drop them all the way through, they seem to be sitting there waiting at the moment. Turn it upside down. Okay, so turn it upside down, and then it's going to go across the front here. Oh, I see. And then we're going to pin it to these here bollocks things. Like that. We've got 4 axle going into the hand of God. So we've got the 4 axle in here. Just to make sure the steering still works. And then we got the gear, tan gear facing down. I think it's just the aesthetics. And moon gear to go on top of that. And there you go. That's your hand of God steering thing finished. This looks like the steering wheel. So the console and stuff like that. So we want a 3 axle with black pin with collar, and a 1-hole connector with axle, and another black pin with collar to go onto the other side, like so. And then we got 3-hole Technic beams off each side of that, like that. And then we got 1-hole connectors with axle, blue pin with axle. Can make 2 of those. There it is. And that's going to go into there. That's going to go into there. Then we got 2 pins that are going to be dropping in the end here. So 2 black pins dropping into the end here, like that, and that. And then the steering wheel tan pin with axle, so it's frictionless. It's going to sit into this hole here of the 1-hole connector, and I mean that's not going to do anything, but you know. And then this is going to fit, I think it's going to fit here. That looks like the only place it's going to go. Like that, and then just flip the steering wheel around, and there you have it, the steering wheel. 6 axle periscope and a fire hydrant. Again, same hole, holes facing the same way. This is the same sort of practice as we had last time. Then we got a 3 axle that's going to go into the end of that. So we got 3 axle there, and that is going to go onto the pin. And then the axle is going to go through the hole there, push that pin through. And same on the other side, right? So 6 axle, we got fire hydrant, we got the periscope, and we got the 3 axle. And that is going to join. So I'm going to put the axle in first because it's longer. And then meet up with the pin. Bingo. Oh, it looks like we're going to put a connector in between. Yeah, we're going to put a connector in between. I kind of thought that would be a cool place to put something, because there's this gap here. So it's going to be axle connector, and just hold it in place and pinch it in place, and that forms the rest of the frame at the top of the window. And then we're going to do a frame going across here as well. So you kind of get that roll cage look. So 6 axle, axle connector. We're doing 2 of these. Blue pin with axle. We're going to do 2 of those. So 6 axle, axle connector, and blue pin with axle. So we got a blue pin. It's going to go into this grey panel, green panel here, like that. So it really just sits there like that. And it gives you the look. That's what it's aiming for. That's what it's doing. 1-hole connector. Well, 1-hole Technic beam with axle, and then we got blue pin with axle, and we're doing 2 of those. So another light grey connector, blue pin with axle, and those are going to fit below this axle here, so it's going to fit at a slight angle. Oh, we got a black pin going in there as well, right, on the other side. So we've got a black pin going on the other side, and black pin on the other side, and that's going to kind of go like that. Like that. And I think those positions are so that you can move them around, so you can get these mud guards on. Now then, it's going to go on the blue pin and the axle. There we go. So yeah, it's giving that flexible mounting ability. It's quite cool. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. Really, I wish I had this set and I'd have 2, just so that I could have both versions. Super cool. Absolutely super cool. All right, so tires. Puff them up a bit. I'm going to use the industrial side. So this is the industrial side, and pop that in there. I mean, those gears look quite cool aesthetically, so I'm going to go with that. I was like, how are you going to really see those? But I guess you do, don't you? You do get to see those quite well. Large bushings on the front. Large bushings on the front. That's front wheels done. And then we got the back wheels. And we go to use the deeper side. So you got the racing side, you got the deeper side. So we're going to use the deeper side. And move these around a bit. And oh, really? There we go. You can't really see the benefit of these this time, whereas you could on the gears on the front. And that looks like it's done. Yep, you got a few pieces left over, which is nice. Not an awful lot, so they really did do a good job with trying to make a second model. And it does fascinate me how they can make a second model out of the parts that they already have from the main one. But there you go. It looks really cool. Like I say, I wish I had 2 of these, then I would have both sets up, like the tractor and the Dune Buggy. Very well done. We've got functioning pistons, as you can see. And hand of God steering. It looks great. There's no suspension. The only suspension's really in the tires. It looks great. It does look like it has the Dune Buggy kind of engine, because like you have a look at them, and there's usually the Volkswagen Beetle engines. So, and yeah, that's what drives the piston there, which is really cool. So there you go, folks. That's it. The Dune Buggy, a really cool set in general with both builds. What do you think, folks? Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Don't be shy. Drop a comment. Love comments. Getting lots of comments in that lot. Like and subscribe if you like. And I'll see you in the next one. I'm Shaun from BRIT'N. Peace.